I'm super happy to moderate this panel, How to Make It in Finance, powered by Athos, our partner. And it's an honor to have Sonja Milgramer here, tax advisor and team lead at Athos. And I'm also, of course, super happy to have Maria here, who's the CFO of Superhuman Ventures. And I would just ask Sonja first to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your story and how you came into the finance sector.
Okay. Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm really glad to be here for the first time. I'm a tax advisor and I'm working for Athos, which is located in Vienna, Austria. At Athos, we are about 80 employees. Approximately 85% of us are women. So Athos is a very women-friendly company, I think. Well, a lot of our women are payroll calculators and bookkeepers, of course, but also tax consultants, and we also have one partner who is a woman. So that's great, I think. We have 4 tax teams. One of them is my team. My team mainly does corporation law, group taxation, and consolidations. And I've been working for Athos now for 3.5 years approximately. But I work in the field of tax consultancy for more than 15 years. I actually didn't want to become a tax consultant, I have to admit. It was by accident, I suppose, because I wanted to be a doctor. But you know, sometimes things are different, and now I'm really happy in this job because what I love in tax consultancy is that it's an exciting job that offers variety and it's really great to deal with people and so interesting people.
Yeah, thank you. So Maria, may you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Maria Konstantinova. Let me first shortly introduce my personal background. So I'm originally from Bulgaria, from Sofia, but then I was raised in Moscow in Russia. And around 10 years ago, I moved to Vienna, Austria, to finish my studies. And then I started my career in finance, basically in Vienna. So I've been working in finance already more than 10 years. It's been a great experience. I've had various roles from controlling, finance analysis role. Then I switched a little bit to innovation management, again related to finance. And currently I'm a financial director for 2 companies, one in Beijing, one in Shanghai for China, and as well one newly established company in Japan. It's really exciting to work with Asia. That I do for Agrana. Agrana is a quite famous Austrian company in the food processing industry. Most of you might have heard about this company. So we are a supplier for companies like Danone, Mondelez, Unilever, Kraft, McDonald's, Starbucks around the world. So it's really exciting. And when I moved to Shanghai, basically last year, to manage our affiliates in China, I also started working for Superhuman Ventures. Superhuman is also related to the food industry. So we're focusing on plant-based foods and food innovation. And my role there is, again, as a CFO. So there I take care of due diligence, financial analysis, fundraising topics. So I actually have a very broad scope from corporate finance and then financing in a startup world. So it's really exciting. Whatever questions you have, whether they're related to corporate world or startup world, I think I can answer those. And as you can see, I also have very international experience as well. So we can talk about that also. Yes.
Yeah, super interesting. Thank you. I'm like excited to dive deeper and also learn a bit more finance. I do have a business degree, but I always focused more on like communications and HR and innovation. So the financing is like, but I'm like super happy to learn what you can share with us. So let's just start with the first question asked by Hannah. What are your biggest achievements of your career to date? So maybe Sonia, what you want to go first? Your biggest achievement.
For me, or in my side of the view, the biggest achievement was the tax exam, because that's a really hard exam, I have to admit. And I'm really, really happy that I passed it at the first go, because many of my colleagues are really desperate for it, and it takes a lot of ambition and energy and of course a bit luck, to do this in a short time, and I'm really happy that I managed that.
Yeah, kudos to you. And also what we shared in our pre-conversation, that you actually had your 2 kids before you really become a team lead and a tax advisor. So managing like small kids and your career is also very impressive in my opinion. So
you get a point there. Thank you so much. I think if someone can handle it other way around, it would be better. So if you want to have a tip, you should do it the other way around. So first do the exams and then get your children. But
yeah, but that just makes it even more impressive that you passed it at the first time with like kids at home and everything. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, and Maria, what would you say is your biggest achievement in your career so far?
Okay, well, I guess most of you might think that the finance role and the finance position can be a little bit boring or routine. But however, as I mentioned before, I was offered a position as a finance director in China, and I would definitely say this was or is one of my biggest achievements in my professional life. That was a huge step. Definitely, I was very scared. It was. I had to move to China, basically, yes, with the support of the company in terms of looking for accommodation or visa issues. But still, you have to move to on the other side of the world alone, start working and managing a team of Chinese people. Part of them were situated in Beijing. Another part of them were actually working in Shanghai. So I had to fly between the 2 locations all the time as well. Maintain clear communication with people whose native language is definitely not English, and I do not speak Chinese. So as I mentioned, yes, the finance role is definitely not boring. If you enter such an adventure like I did, yes, that was my biggest achievement so far, I believe. That I did it, I survived. There was a COVID situation, and yes, and unfortunately I had to come back at least for some time until the situation calms down. Hopefully I'll go back there again. So I'm now I did it once. I feel strong enough to do it second time if necessary. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. Wow, it's really amazing.
Thank you. There was a lot of sacrifices. You can imagine work-life balance. It was difficult to maintain.
I'm sure about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So my next question would be, what was your like biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle to overcome to make it in your career? Maybe it's kind of related to your biggest achievement. I don't know.
Maria, do you want to start?
Okay, sure. That's an interesting question, I think, when it comes to finance. I don't know, Sonia, whether you agree with me, but finance is a function where you definitely have to say no quite often, being it due to budget restrictions or management decisions or the strategy of the company. And many times you have to be the one, yes, that gives the bad news or says no to the next big project or whatever. That I found quite difficult due to my personality, due to my motivation. I always wanted things to happen, but it was very difficult to me to overcome that. What my solution was or is to that problem, I always seen the finance role, the CFO role, as a very strategic role. So a moving role, strategic role, a role that through numbers and calculations helps the business to go forward. It's definitely a driver, the support for the business. So you have to be very flexible. You have to be very close to your CEO also. So many people think of those roles, CEO and CFO, being very separate, but I don't believe that. As a CFO, you have to work hand in hand together with the CEO to drive the business forward. And this makes it easy when you have to say no and you're together with your CEO, then you're a team. Yes, and combined effort usually helps. But yes, that was one of the obstacles. What else? I also mentioned this during our mentoring session before regarding the current digitalization of the whole world, I would say, and the growth of digitalization in general, and the fact that we in finance, we also have to keep up with that pace as well. Sometimes in such finance positions, we have to take or make decisions that are very tech or IT oriented, being it an implementation of new ERP system, where the finance part is such a big element. So you have to be non-stop learning, and being on the top. That's definitely not easy. So that would be my second obstacle.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing, Sonia. What was yours?
Yeah, Maria already said it. Tax laws change really quickly. And that's very hard in our job. When you think of Corona, we had changes in the regulations weekly or daily. You can say daily. And we have to be very, very quick and quickly reacting on the changes, and that makes it really hard in this job. But I think that's also the exciting thing about it. Like, I think Maria sees it the same way, yeah. And, yeah, you have, when you're a woman and you have children, that's really hard, yeah. In many jobs, not only in tax consultancy or in finance, in many jobs, it's the biggest challenge to bring family life and job and everything under one roof. Like Maria already said, it's the work-life balance is not easy to hold. Yeah, and I have to admit, one is often measured against male colleagues. Yeah, and however, most of them are not so involved in child rearing and can therefore make like evening appointments or traveling or those things more easier than mothers and part-time workers, like you say. And I think that's a challenge in our industry to be as flexible, like Maria said, as we are regarded to be, as we should be.
Maria, do you have something to add on that? What is your experience like in dealing with your male colleagues?
Oh, yes, definitely. I have a couple of very interesting stories to share from Japan and China, for example.
Yes, please.
So first of all, I'd like to say that one of the reasons also that I got an offer to become a financial director in those countries was due to the fact that I'm a very flexible and open-minded person. I come from Eastern Europe. I was raised in Russia, a little bit different background compared to the usual Austrian, German, Western European person. So what happened, for example, in Japan? In Japan, the whole, not only finance industry, but the work industry generally is dominated by older male. We might think that Japan is very modern, technologically advanced, but actually, in that sense, they're pretty old school still. And what happened there, we went from Akrana, a team of 5 people, so 4 men and me. And we announced from before that the CFO of the company there would be a female. And we explained that, so they would be prepared. However, when we arrived in Japan, they completely ignored me. So we had the meetings and they did not even say hello to me. So we stand the CEO, I'm next to him. So they just didn't shake my hand. It was a very interesting situation. Yes, then we had to explain again that I'm going to be the CFO and they don't have any other choice. So basically after half an hour of dinner and some sushi, most people started talking to me. So well, that was the experience in Japan. Then the experience in China, very similar, but a little bit better. So we still have women in managerial roles there. For example, our financial manager there in China, because I'm also financial director. We have a finance manager there, local one as well. She's a woman. She's been with the company since 20 years. However, one of the main reasons that we have her since so many years is due to her English skills. Because she was raised in a family where her father was an English teacher, and we really need someone with a good English skills, and her English is really good. And I believe that is one of the main reasons why we work still with her. And it's very pity in Asia still at managers level, women, it is very difficult for women. And we're trying to change that, of course, sending expats, mainly women to Asia, which is great. Yeah, we're accepted there. But let's see, there is a long way to go in Asia.
Definitely. But I would even add also, like in Europe, there's still way to go. There's room for improvement. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. Well, since I've been in Asia, for me now, Europe is just amazing. Yes, exactly.
Great. So let's move to our next question. So how do you stand out in your industry? Like we have this title of how to make it in finance. Is there anything what you did specially to like set you apart, and what helped you in your success?
Shall I start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would say that for me, it was my diverse background and the languages, definitely. As I mentioned before, I was raised in Russia, so this makes 4 languages for me. So I speak Russian as well, and we have also an office in Moscow. Of course, when there was an opportunity to take over a project and a job in Moscow, I was the chosen one from the finance team. First of all, because from my cultural experience, from my language experience, and so on. And then when some other projects presented themselves, like a project in Algeria, in India, and now China and Japan, basically I was the one that always jumped on the opportunity, and this kind of continued. So I would never said no to any open opportunity, and my advice to you would be also the same. Always jump on a great opportunity that comes along, even though from the beginning it might seem scary. Don't be afraid of a change, right? Yes, and the fact is, I've always seen the finance role or CFO role. It's a very, very dynamic role. Okay, so and I've always thought for myself as a strategic player as well. And regardless, finance, if it's finance or something else, does not matter. Be strategic and jump on the opportunity. That is what set me apart from the rest of our finance team, who most of them are still in Vienna. They're very happy with their work and their development, of course. But if you want something different, just try it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing. Sonia, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think Maria had the most important point here, because she said if you want to do it in the field of finance, you have to just try and take the opportunities. That's the most important thing. And you have to, like what we said at the last question, we said you have to stay up to date. That's very important. And just be determined and try to get what you want and take the opportunities. Well, me in the field of tax consultancy, in special, I have to say I don't know if you can say stand out, but I think it's maybe I do something in another way than most of the other tax consultants, because I actually studied business education. And for me, it's very important that my clients understand the law and that they understand maybe the problems, the tax problems they have. And I try to tell them in an easy way. The simple it goes, because I don't like if you have just technical terms in your explanations. And what I heard is the clients really like that, and really said that's something special. So and that's something that where you can differ from many other tax advisors.
Thank you so much. I love that, like really making it approachable to like the general public.
And I think
exactly.
what's also important is just stay natural. Yeah, I love it. Like Maria tells her stories about Asia. It's like so. It's just naturally talking, and I think that's very, very important. So when dealing with other persons and like Maria, dealing with persons from all over the world, when just staying natural and yourself, it's the best way. And
absolutely.
Be clear and keep it simple.
Yeah, great advice.
One more thing, if I may add now, Sonia reminded me, this bringing also fresh ideas to the table. as well. I would mention again, finance is perceived or taxation as a boring job, but it's not my opinion. So if you take the initiative, right? One example, I was working in financial controlling, and what I've done is that I brought to our management a project for corporate startup collaboration. Yes, where we enhance our corporate innovation via collaboration with startups. So we could find great startups in our industry, or what, depending on the problems in different departments, and we could share resources with them, make a project, and so on. And this was perceived great from the management. We spent almost 2 years actually working on that, and I come from finance, but this definitely put my image and my personality in front of everyone in the company. And when the opportunity then for China presented itself, Maria was on the top of the list.
Yeah, that's great advice. Like, think outside the box. It's always
exactly
great to differentiate you from others.
Exactly.
In a good way, of course.
Of course.
So we have one more, like, a question here. What inspired you to go in this career path in the first place? I mean, Sonia mentioned it briefly already, that it was not her chosen profession. So I would like, just like, maybe again, like, what really convinced you then to go into finance? And like, I know you mentioned you had this, like, the side step when you were like and business education, and so maybe you want to share a little bit more about your story all the way.
Well, like I said, I actually came to tax advice by accident. My best friend, she wanted to study economics, and she dragged me to come with her at the open day at the university. And there I heard some lectures and talked to some lecturers, and I was impressed, and I liked it. I loved it. And like I said,
Wow.
for me, figures and mathematics is great. I loved it. I loved it in school, and it wasn't boring at all. And then I started studying economics. When I finished it, I started my career at KPMG in the field of auditing. But I didn't love that. That's why I started to study economics. I started business education in the second run. And during this study, I started working at a tax consultancy from one of the professors. So, because he asked me, he said, "Hey, I like you. I think you're doing a good job. Don't you like to work for me?" And I said, "Yes, why not?" It's like Maria said, it's just taking the chance. And I said, "Yes, let's do this." And I ended up working there for 13 years. So
Yeah.
It was a pretty long time then.
Yeah.
I did also auditing and tax advisory, and both of it was really cool. So
I love the story. Like, really, like, it's some, like, my takeaway is like there's some little bits and pieces. Nothing is like planned, like as life goes.
No.
It's just like taking the opportunities, and So how was it for you, Maria? Did you always have this passion for numbers and knew that you wanted to go into finance?
Well, if I have to be honest, I actually studied in a finance high school, even back in Bulgaria. Then I finished a bachelor in finance. Then I did an MBA with emphasis in finance. So yes, for me it was always finance. But honestly, the reason was that I was raised in Bulgaria. It was in the 90s, and the job opportunities back then were not really, I would say, very vast. It was difficult economy back then. Many people were going abroad to search for new opportunities. So it was not so much a choice, more like a direction that usually the parents and everyone is, in finance, most probably you have a good job and good money. And then I realized I'm good in math. And then I realized that actually working in finance gives you great variety of opportunities. So being a finance professional can mean you can work in a bank or non-financial institution, or there are so many various options there. And also, if you're an independent financial professional, you can actually manage your time. You can be very flexible. You can work remotely. So there are many options. And even when I entered the startup world, I realized there is a lot of lack of finance professionals in that sector. Yes, and there is a lot of need for mentoring and helping when it comes to finance in that, if I may call it, sector in the startup world. So yeah, and then I just went with the flow 10 years later. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, you just mentioned mentoring, and as we're here at the Limitless Mentoring Conference, and both of you are mentors within the Female Factor Mentoring Program, I would like to know, did you have mentors along your way, and how did it go? How did you find them? How important were they for your career? However,
I never had a mentor, but I love to have. I think it would be better when you're young and you're not sure about, like Maria said, you're not sure about taking a chance. Shall I? Shall I not? Shall I? Shall I not? It's often a good idea to discuss it with someone who is in the field, and who knows the field. Maybe your parents or your friend doesn't know that. So a mentor is really great, great help. Can be a great help.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
You don't have to do the things the mentor says, because it's not like he says you have to do that. It's just discussing and watching the pros and the cons and seeing it from another point of view.
Yeah, thank you. Maria, how was it for you?
Yeah, well, during my early days in my career, unfortunately, I also did not have a mentor. I do not think that this is something very typical in the corporate world, or yes, not in many big companies. They offer you someone to be your mentor, not your boss, not your just colleague or someone that trains you on a particular subject, but really a mentor with whom you can share your strengths, your weaknesses, your questions. I think this concept is currently changing slightly, at least in my company recently, before the COVID crisis, unfortunately. Now all the trainings and travelings were cancelled, but before that there were some ideas for trainings, and then and like team events, and after such a team event then you can choose a mentor, someone department with whom you can have regular meetings to share. I actually really got familiar with the concept of mentoring when I entered the startup world. There, I really realized what that means. And I'm very grateful for that. So then in the last, I would say, 2-3 years, I do have a mentor, someone who is already in the startup world, in the venture capital world, since many years. And for me, that's an incredible experience. I would recommend to everyone who has the opportunity to have a mentor to find one.
Thank you. We have here a super interesting question from Maria. Considering all the people you've met in your field, what personal attributes are essential for success in finance? I think that's a super
interesting question. Yes, definitely. So
thank you for asking, Maria. Anna Maria.
Okay, so we've mentioned a lot of things before. That a finance role is a dynamic role, so you have to be flexible. However, still it's a finance role. So things like leadership, things like operational excellence and eye to detail, things like controls, so understanding risks and so on, and strategic thinking. So without some essence, these essential pillars in finance, it would be very difficult for you to succeed.
Sonia?
Oh, I thought it was a question for Maria.
No, it was asked by another Maria, so there was confusion about it. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't see the slide, or like I have my screen here. I have the screen here with the questions, so I see who's asking the questions, and Maria is like a little bit tricky.
I was relaxed now, just
no, sorry. But I can repeat the question if you.
No, it's okay. I know the question. It's all right. Like, no, I think Maria had the most important points. Like in field of finance, you have to be very exact, and you have to love figures, of course, and calculations. Without you won't succeed, I think. You have to be good in communication, I think, because that's what we said. You have to make your opposite understand you. Like Maria said, she does the budgets, and then yes, she says no, but I'm sure she says why she says no. Yeah. So that the other one can follow her mind, yeah, and that's very important, I think. And you have to make your point clear in this sector. And what I also think what's very important is dealing with mistakes, because like I said, mistakes are human. Everyone makes mistakes. But I think in this field, you really have to be to deal openly with mistakes, because when you do a mistake and you don't tell it, it can be worse. And well, I say when in my team, when one of us makes a mistake, nothing happens at all. You have to say it, and then we can solve it, and I can react more quickly when I know about it. And that's very important in our field, quickly reaction. Because like Maria said, when you give wrong figures to the CEO, to the CFO, yeah, that's not good.
No.
But it can happen. It's okay. It can happen once. Making a mistake again and again and again is never a good idea. But if you make a mistake once, it's not bad. Just dealing openly with it is very important.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, and that's really good advice. So we have 3 minutes left, so that would be a chance for very last questions, also from the audience. If you want, either you submit it on Slido, or like to be quicker, you can also put it here in the chat if there's one burning question you still have for the two ladies here. So let's see. Otherwise, we have one question on Slido we didn't tackle yet, And it was also a question by Maria, the other Maria.
Okay.
What motivates you to keep on going in the field? So just Maria, you had a strong reaction to that question.
Oh yeah, that's a hard question because you know, when for example I was offered the position in China, I was so scared that definitely there was some part of me that was thinking, oh no, shall I say no and just stop it here? And this would have meant for me to continue in finance, but definitely I would have stopped my career ladder increase, so to say. And yeah, what motivates me? You know what motivates me? That I imagine how I go to China, and then I got the next country, and that it was Japan, and then I had the opportunity to work in Tokyo for some time, and most probably the next one will be Korea, and that would be a new culture and new experiences, and learning to work with those people, and these would be memories and experiences that I would never return, and definitely that's one part that motivates me and keeps me going. Plus, generally, I'm such a person. The moment I received the title of a financial director, I was very motivated as well. So sometimes, you know, the title itself and the responsibilities also help. The moment you receive your first team, you know, even direct lines or dotted lines, but they start reporting to you, that's such a responsibility. You start taking care of these people. You're every day with them, with their problems, with their issues. In China, people are very open. They share their family problems. You have to listen and give solutions and be supportive. That can be difficult, but it's motivating at the same time. Sorry, I'm talking too much, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's really bad. Like I'm interrupting you, but we are like at the end of our session. So maybe Sonia, like in one short sentence, what keeps you going? What motivates you?
I love my job.
Very simple, on point. I love it. Otherwise, so much thank you from my side. It was a pleasure to have you here, to hear your experience. You convinced me that the finance sector is pretty cool and interesting now. So if I ever think about a career change, I will consider finance now. And for all our participants, just hop over to the main stage where we have the closing words and also like our own conference song presented by Song Division. And then at 7:35, we have like the happy hour happening with our live DJ and some team members. So just stay here and hang out. And again, thank you so much for joining, and also special thank you to Artus for supporting the session, and we really value as a partner. So
thank you so much. It was an honor.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.